Early, 10:02 on the fan. What's happening, everybody? How are you? This is the Tiki and Tierney Show. Brady's retirement, as we know, has complicated the Jets world, and we'll see how that plays out. I got news for you, Teak. Brady's retirement now complicates the Giants world.
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does. It does because I'm just counting now. There's at least 8 teams that need quarterbacks, and this includes teams that have a quarterback who's an unrestricted free agent, like the Giants or like the Baltimore Ravens, which Lamar Jackson. But there's a lot of teams in the NFL that need quarterbacks. I mean, hell, the entire NFC South needs a quarterback, except for the Atlanta Falcons, who drafted Desmond Ridder. But when you start looking through the list, Seattle's another team with Geno, who's an unrestricted free agent. There's teams that are going to need someone under center. And if you go look at the list, I mean, of unrestricted free agent quarterbacks, Tom's retired, so he's no longer there. Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Lamar, Baker, Jimmy G, Tyler Heineke, Sam Darnold, Cooper Rush, Joe Flacco, Mike White. Like, you start throwing out these names, what name sounds the most interesting out of that entire list? It's Daniel Jones. Let's be real. And so yesterday we started the show, and you were right on with Tom Brady retiring. Now Aaron Rodgers, who was the Jets' primary target, at least that's our primary target as representatives of the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, there's competition for where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, whether it's Las Vegas, whether it's San Francisco, whoever. Now you look at the Giants and you focus on their quarterback situation. There's a lot of demand. I mean, at least 10 teams, maybe even more. Hoff had like 17. I don't know how he got to 17. That's half the league. But there's at least 10 teams that are saying, we need a quarterback. We need a better option that we have or currently have had. And Daniel Jones has to be at the top of the list, which is going to make it harder to sign Daniel Jones, especially if they don't exclusive franchise him and they non-exclusive franchise tag him, and other teams can talk to him and say, all right, we'll give you $40 million simply because we don't have a better option.
It just takes one aggressive, desperate franchise to do something that we might view as a little cavalier to change the entire world for the Giants and Daniel Jones. Now, when I say cavalier, that's not to imply that Daniel Jones isn't good. Daniel Jones is really good. That's why Daniel Jones is going to be in demand. And now we've got to sort through all this stuff. Now you're already starting to hear Derek Carr, hey, he might prefer the Panthers. Devontae Adams yesterday on Twitter telling everybody, yo, Rodgers moving to my part of town in Nevada. He actually tweeted that. So Tiki's not wrong, and it's not hyperbolic. Now, I will say there are varying degrees of circumstances. You name some of the quarterbacks. I'll run through the teams without actually getting too deeply into the weeds because it'll be too long. But the Jets are the Giants. Until the Giants resolve Daniel Jones, we're going to put the Giants on that list right there.
He's an unrestricted free agent.
No doubt.
He's not the Giants' property anymore.
The Ravens situation with Lamar, it's been discussed a million times over. We'll see what happens there. The Colts, the Tennessee Titans, very good chance that they cut Ryan Tannehill. Vegas, we know about that. The Commanders, we know about that. The Panthers, they might keep Darnold. They might not. The Saints, they've got to find somebody. The Bucs obviously have to find somebody. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray ain't playing until Halloween. So you better address that. Now, I'm not saying you go out there and you get Rodgers for half a season, but that middle tier kind of player, you're going to have somebody there, even if it's like an Andy Dalton, which means if you're left with no chair and you think that Andy Dalton's a good plan D, you might not even get that. The 49ers, the Green Bay Packers, possibly. Miami, possibly. Seattle, got to resolve Geno. The bottom line is this. There's going to be teams that are chasing, I'm going to give you a baseball analogy. It's like chasing like a no-doubt ace, okay? And we've got a bunch here. Cole, Rodon, obviously, Scherzer and Verlander, and winding up with a middle-of-the-rotation innings eater, like Jamison Tyone. I know he's not here anymore. But we're like possessed zombies. Aaron Rodgers. We do. We need Aaron. Help us, save us. We need it. If Aaron Rodgers retires or Aaron Rodgers goes to Vegas and Derek Carr goes to the Carolina Panthers, now the Jets are in a world of hurt. I got no interest in Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, is that middle-of-the-rotation, innings eater, okay?
Good player.
Good player.
Not someone who's taking you far.
I'm sorry, but this might lead to our first true fight. Which, by the way, you will win. I admit that. You won't win on the air. You'll win in a real fight. If it comes to that, we're going after Daniel Jones. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what it takes. We will steal your guy. I cannot have Garoppolo. Well, I cannot have Tannehill quarterback this team. I cannot do that.
It's funny.
So you better watch out for your boy.
It's funny because we've said this in jest over the year because Daniel Jones was having such a good year. I mean, I'm not saying he was 350 yards a game, but you could just feel him being a winner. He was the reason in a lot of cases why the Giants are winning games. And as the Jets started to falter, it was kind of in the back of your mind, the side of your tongue. You're saying, hell, well, I'd take Daniel Jones on the Jets. If Daniel Jones is on the Jets, I mean, this team would be, competing for the postseason and maybe going far in the postseason because of all the talent around him. You marry the two teams, the Giants and the Jets. You take the Jets talent, the Giants quarterback, and some other pieces. You mix and match.
I'll take your coach too, probably.
Yeah, maybe it's a hell of a team, right? But that's not the case. Look, it will come to this at some point for Daniel Jones, and this, as an aside, really benefits Daniel Jones, like being at the right place or in the right place at the right time where there's a dearth of really good quarterbacks that have ceilings that are higher than what they're currently at. Because there's not a lot of guys that are that way. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, you kind of know what his ceiling is. Yeah, I know he's a free agent, and I know he's available, and he's had some good years, but you kind of know where he is. You know what he's going to be. Sam Darnold, you kind of know what he's going to be. Baker Mayfield, you kind of know what he's going to be, right? Jacoby Brissett, any of these other names that you
thought. Oh, good God.
But you know what I mean?
I would resign my football fandom if Jacoby Brissett is the Jets quarterback. I give up.
That's not even my point. My point is you know where their ceiling is. Yep. Daniel Jones, we don't really know. That's true. There's still a lot of interesting and potential exciting upside with Daniel Jones.
There's also the realization possibly that he's not what people think he might be, including us.
Of course.
It could go both ways.
Of course. But there is still a question mark. Whereas all these other guys, it's kind of like, yeah, I know where the cap is. Daniel Jones doesn't have that defined cap yet. So all of these teams, at least 12, probably like 15, if you throw in the guys that have, like Tennessee drafted a quarterback, of Malik Willis, but is he going to be the guy? I don't know. Miami, I know you threw him on his list. Tua, I love him, but he might have a serious concussion issue. He had 3 in a season. And that's just
that we know about.
That we know about, exactly. Maybe probably 4 because the one they didn't actually document as a concussion. So like Miami could be in this situation. There are a lot of teams that need a quarterback, but the draft isn't providing a ton of them. So in the alternative, without that option, you got to go find the youngest with the greatest upside. And if you go look at the list, the youngest with the greatest upside is Daniel Jones. He's going to benefit significantly because there's so many teams that need quarterbacks, which makes it more urgent for Joe Shane to do this job right.
And for Joe Douglas to navigate this properly.
I don't care about Joe Douglas.
No, you're saying, but both of the teams are really impacted by this situation.
True. But I'm talking specific to Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Joe Shane better do the job right. Joe Douglas better not do the job right. and Daniel Jones.
877-337-6666 is our number. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. So this is where it's worrisome. There is, without a doubt, a dearth of high-level quarterbacks, but there's an abundance of teams that will be in the quarterback market. Think about that. It's like going into a bar with 37 dudes and 3 girls, 3 women. All right? I mean, only a few guys are getting dates. Yeah. Only a few guys are getting numbers. And here's something else that I'm worried about. Now, I am worried about this. You know that my plan 1 or plan A, Rodgers. Plan B, Derek Carr. The Raiders have 3 days after the Super Bowl to cut him. Otherwise, all that money, not just the money for next year, but a little less than $8 million for the following season becomes guaranteed. Not palatable. They're going to cut him unless somebody trades for him. Now, this is the thing. From the Jets' perspective for a moment, they're not going to trade. The Jets are not going to trade for Derek Carr if they don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Okay. So somebody else could beat you to the punch there, and Derek Carr could be traded somewhere else, number one. And then Rodgers can either retire in 2 weeks or he can go to the Vegas Raiders or whatever, and now you don't have Aaron Rodgers and you don't have Derek Carr. Like, it is very easy. and I think that we've simplified this as we often do on the radio. We have gotten on these airwaves, and we're not alone, for the past week or so, and some have been louder than others. Me and Evan absolutely believe Rodgers is coming. Not everybody feels that way. That's fine. We all have different shows and different opinions, right? But if this is not perfectly navigated by the Jets, they might wind up with nothing. And
running back Zach Wilson.
That means this cannot happen. I mean,
and it's funny because now that when you put it in the context of everybody, forget.
Yep.
Like we've been focused so on the Jets. The Jets got to do this. The Jets got to do this. The Jets got to do this. Aaron Rodgers got to be a Jet. He's got to be a Jet. But when you stop and being myopic and like focusing solely on the Jets, and you just take a couple.
Just broaden that scope a little bit.
Just take a couple steps back. It felt urgent before. Now it really feels urgent, especially as you lay it out that way. Because Derek Carr doesn't want to be in New York. He doesn't want to be he doesn't.
I don't know that for sure. You don't have to be so definitive in the claim. I mean, geez, show us an ounce of respect.
That's what people
until he goes elsewhere.
That's what people are saying. Or maybe it's just he wants to be in Carolina. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like he wants to be in New York. Whereas Aaron Rodgers talked, poetically about Zach, and I think he actually would enjoy.
But then why is Devontae Adams tweeting that he's going to move into his neighborhood?
Because Devontae Adams wants him to come to Las Vegas.
I understand that, but they're also boys.
It's social media bluster.
Well, that's the thing. He's getting some pops. He's no dummy.
Of course,
I know.
It is what it is. But my point is, when you take a bigger step back, it really gets urgent for the Jets to get this right, because their team, like all these teams that we talk about, whether it's 12 or 15. Arizona's probably not competing anytime soon. Indy's not. The Texans aren't. I mean, Tampa probably isn't either. New Orleans, like East Carolina, they're not competing.
But in that division, you can't say that because that division's not good. So they might say to themselves, we're a quarterback away from winning 9 games and winning the division.
Yeah,
but the Buccaneers were sub 500. They won the division.
But are they going to fool themselves and think they're getting to the Super Bowl and winning one? And if you're going for Aaron Rodgers, that's what you're likely doing.
Maybe with Derek Carr, though, it's different.
Maybe. But there's like 5 teams that are really competing for something meaningful.
And the Jets are on the list.
The Jets are on the list. Green Bay's on the list. Baltimore's on the list. The Giants got to get right. The Niners are definitely on that list. There's like 5 teams that really have to have a quarterback in order to further what they've built already. And so you're competing with a lot of teams. Not like you're competing with 1 or 2. You're competing with 5 other teams for this limited resource of a quarterback in the NFL. There's like real urgency right now. And Daniel Jones, let's face it, he's going to benefit from this.
His value's spiking.
It's spiking.
Or it spiked a lot yesterday.
It's not because he was an all-pro. And it's not because he was
an all-pro. He was pro bowler. Daniel Jones?
I'm saying it's not because
I'm sorry.
It's not because he was an all-pro. It's not because he was a top 5 quarterback. It's because he's in the right place at the right time and had a season that makes us think he's got much more to gain.
You know what's funny? I've heard a lot of chirping, a lot of laughing from Giant fans. Oh, look at those pitiful Jets once again trying to resolve their quarterback situation. Suckers. Hey, guys, I got news for you. Your world became more complicated as well, because now you hear that? That's some other teams coming and knocking, and those other teams have money, and those other teams might be a little desperate, and those other teams know Daniel Jones is pretty good.